I've invited a really good friend of mine to share some of his strength and expertise. I'm talking about none other than Bishop T.D. Jakes, who's joining us from Dallas, Texas. Now, he is a New York Times bestselling author of Crushing: God Turns Pressure into Power. Now, Bishop T.D. Jakes has been a guest several times, and I know he can add helpful value and insight to this discussion. And he serves as senior pastor of the Potter House. It is a global humanitarian organization and 30,000 member church located in Dallas, Texas. Bishop, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Dr. Phil. Thank you for asking. Glad to be with you.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do it. These are strange times we're in, and you've been listening to everything we've talked about so far. I've been saying to this family that all their decisions, all their behaviors take on added gravity during this difficult time of this pandemic. What have you been thinking about as you've been hearing this conversation go on?
Well, I think that what's going on in this family is atypical to what's going on in a lot of families. There are problems that families have beneath the surface, but our schedule kind of preempts a lot of it from coming to the surface. But when COVID-19 comes along and forces us all into closed quarters where we can't get away, things that were dormant begin to upsurge and come to a head, as my grandmother would say, sometimes to a breaking point. The interesting thing that's going on in this house is interesting. Both Taylor, Gina, and Desi really want the same things. Though she vacillates a little bit from it, Taylor keeps talking about, well, I don't know that I want to have my way, but I'm afraid that if I have my way, I might wreck my life. That little after clause, I might wreck my life, is probably the more mature part. And so when you start listening at what she's saying, that she really doesn't want to wreck her life. She may want more freedom, but she doesn't really want to wreck her life. And on that part, both Gina and Desi also agree. How we get to this point is very, very interesting because there's a certain amount of resentment that I think is existing in Taylor. I don't know, and I'd like to ask Taylor, when she started talking to Desi about not being her father, her face changed. It took on a different tenor, a certain amount of pain. Not to say that Desi's not a great stepfather. There may be some issues that pre-existed before he ever even stepped on the scene. Taylor, how much of this is about your dad?
A lot of it is about my dad, like truthfully. Like what happened between like my father and I and my father and the family was like really, really, really hard. And I never got like over it or really came to terms with it.
That's what I thought. See, I don't see an angry child. I see a hurt young lady who is very, very hurt and has chosen a way to act out her pain by hurting other people rather than to deal with the hurt that she has inside. Because all of us go through crushings in our lives, and they either make you bitter or they make you better. Right now, it's making you bitter. It could make you better if you let it. I want you as a young lady to make a decision that you're going to face your pain, deal with it as pain, and not become the very thing that you hated. Can you do that?
I can try as hard as I can.
Yeah. So Gina, when we start talking about this, and Desi, we start talking about this sort of thing, are you prepared to have the real conversations that go deeper than her behavior down to what's really hurting your daughter?
100%.